Hey, hi, we have people now. The last time I checked, I was all by myself. All right. Well, you know what I say? I say that I never wait for the late people. And the reason I don't is because I think that every minute counts in review, and you people should be rewarded for being here on time. So the first thing I want to ask you is that at the school, we ask if you would bring with you any questions or concerns that you have. If you don't have any questions or concerns, I have plenty of stuff to talk about. But first, I just want to know if anybody has brought anything to ask me about.
I do.
Hey. What's going on, Randy?
I'm taking my course test tomorrow.
Are
I'm
you really? Your school test?
yes, the school
Okay.
test.
Uh-huh.
And my question is, how does the proctor, whose name is, she found me in the library today, it was amazing. How does she get to you or whoever after the test is done?
I don't know.
You don't have to know. I'll
You're
find
gonna
out.
think I'm dopey, but I just sit here and write books and courses. I don't deal with the mechanics of how the course is delivered or anything like that. You know Deb, right?
Yes, I do. And
Okay,
love her
good.
pieces.
Isn't she delightful?
Yes, she
So
is.
that would be, it's funny. I've taught for a lot of schools. I've been teaching for about 20 years now, and I've taught for a lot of schools, and Deb gives the best customer service I've ever seen. And I promise you, I'm not kissing up to her because she's not even here. She's not even in this session, but it's the best customer service I've ever seen. So I'm sorry to say that questions like how the course is administered and stuff like that is really not for me. I don't know.
Okay, number one, don't apologize for anything because I have loved every effing minute of everything I've gone through.
Oh,
It's
good.
wonderful. And
You
I
haven't
don't
liked my corny jokes?
eat. Okay, you asked for that. But
You know I did.
okay, so I'll go with that. I'm going to go off and see a movie in a few moments, but you've
All right.
answered the question. And I act well, no, I won't ask that other question. I'm a bucket full of questions. But I'm looking forward to taking the test tomorrow. The gal who's proctoring it says it might take 90 minutes. I'll do it in 90 seconds. I'm lying, but I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Yeah, you're going to do well.
Okay,
Yeah, you have nothing to worry about. Have a good time at the theater tonight.
I promise. Thank you, darling.
Okay, well, talk to me now. I'm not seeing any other questions or remarks from anybody else. Does anybody have anything you want to tell me? All you have to do is unmute yourself and talk to me. There's only 2, 4, 6, 7 of us here, including me. So, well, if nobody wants to talk to me, then I think I'm going to do math. But I promise you the math I'm going to do is easy. So what I think I'm going to do is the reason I always try to get a few math questions in is that math seems to be the thing that people find the most troubling. And there are math questions on the school test and there are math questions on the state test. So let's see if we can cover, a couple of math questions each time we meet. Now I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm talking about. All right, now what I have here is, this is part of the math chapter of our course. And I want to see if we can review net price and sale price. Now, I'm sure everybody remembers that a net listing is illegal. And by the way, it's not illegal in other states, but it is illegal in New York State. And I happen to think it's a good idea that it's illegal in New York State, because what a net listing is when the commission is not specified. It's not specified as something with definite value. Like, you don't say the commission will be $60,000, the commission will be a car, the commission will be plane tickets to Hawaii, the the commission will be Bitcoins. Okay, nothing with definite value. So if something has a definite value, that would be a fixed rate, a fixed commission fee. Or it's not specified as a percent of the sale price. So there are two ways to, and you know how I am, I type everything into the chat for you. So we are going to talk about net price and sale price, because there is a question about that on your test. Okay, now net listings are illegal in New York State. A net listing is when commission is not specified. Commission can legally be specified as something with definite value, a dollar amount, a car, plane tickets, cryptocurrency, services of some kind, etc. That's one way. The second way commission can be legally specified is as a percent of sale price. What's illegal is when seller says, I want to net X dollars on sale of my property. Any amount it sells for above that is the commission. Now, that's not specific, is it? The amount of the commission is not specified, so that's illegal. So what they're going to do on the test is, on the test, they will give you the seller's net price, which is the price seller wants to end up with after commission is paid. Then they give you a commission percent. And they ask you to figure out what the sale price has to be. Now, you can see on this screen here that we are giving, hang on the screen here, that we are giving the equation that you need to know. So the equation is that the seller's net price divided by the percent to the seller equals the sale price. And that's the part, for some reason, that everybody gets a little confused about. So let's do this question, and then we'll do one more question of the same type that you're likely to see on the test. So there's the chat. So the net price, so question, the seller's net price is 150,000. Commission is 6%. What must the sale, hi Maureen, price be? Okay, commission is always a percent of sale price, never a percent of net price. I love that because the sale price is higher than the net price, and I'm going to make more money if my commission is calculated on the sale price. Okay, so the equation you must remember is net price divided by percent to seller equals sale price. Okay, now I have a question for you. If the commission is 6% to the broker, what is the percent to the seller? You can just unmute yourself and tell me, or you can type it into the chat, either way you like to communicate. I'm waiting because like when I have to do continuing ed for another state. And so whenever the teacher asks me a question, it always takes me a minute to find the stupid mute button to unmute myself to answer. Well, if nobody wants to answer me, then I'll just answer myself, okay? So at the closing, the seller is going to get 100% of the money, right? They're going to get 100% of the sale price. They have to give 6% of the sale price to the broker. So now the seller has given away 6% of the money. He's left with 94% of the money. So if seller gives 6% of the money to the broker, then he keeps 94% of the sale price money for himself. Hi, Diana. We have Diana joining us because 100% sale price minus 6% commission equals 94% of sale price left to seller. Okay, so now all we have to do is put the numbers into the equation. So 150,000 net price divided by 94% to seller equals 159,574 is sale price. Now I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to give you another one to do. And this time, let's see if you can come up with the answer. Okay, instead of me just like, doing it in front of the class, let me give you the question. I'll give you the question and the equation, which you must remember the equation. All right, I'll give you the question and the equation, and then you can guess the answer with me. So let me get my question here. Okay. Question. Seller wants to net 280,000 on sale of his home. Commission is 10%. Where did you ever hear of a 10% commission, right? But they do it on the test, I'm telling you. Commission is 10%. what must sale price be? And the equation, here is the equation. Oh, we have somebody new. We have Sherelle. I don't think Sherelle can hear me yet. There's Sherelle. Hey, we have somebody new. Welcome. Here is the equation you must know. The people who just came in, let me tell you what we're doing. We are doing questions, which you will see on both school test and state test, where they give you the net price that the seller wants to end up with. They give you the commission percent that the broker gets, and you have to figure out what the sale price of the property has to be. All right. So I'm giving you the equation, which you must know. And the equation is net price divided by percent to seller equals sale price. Okay. So if the net price is 280,000 and commission is 10%, what must the sale price be? Anybody got it? Got my bling calculator going on. Okay. Now, the equation that we're going to use is 280,000 net price divided by, okay, if the broker gets 10% commission, what percent of the sale price does the seller get to keep? 90%. Okay, so divided by 90% to seller equals sale price. Okay, so let's see if my calculator is working properly. 280,000 divided by. Now, I've probably mentioned this in class before, but I should say it again. There are some calculators where if you divide by a percent, it automatically multiplies and you'll get the wrong answer. I believe that my calculator is not one of those. But if you do have a calculator that's like that, what you have to do is convert your percent to a decimal. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So when I divide 280,000 I get 3111. Is that what other people are getting?
Yes, that's what I got.
Okay. Okay. Now, if I had a calculator that automatically multiplies by decimal, I'm sorry, by percent, then instead of hitting the percent key, I could do it as a decimal. So 90% is the same
That's 0.9.
as exactly as 0.9. Yeah. And 9% is the same as 0.09. All right. So in other words, basically, like cent means 100. So you divide by 100. So 90% divided by 100. If you took 90 and you divided by 100, you would get,
0.09,
Yeah.
0.9, 0.9.
yep. There you go. So if your calculator is one of those that automatically multiplies when you hit the percent key, then please always divide by a decimal instead of a percent. Now, the other thing, and I really want to be careful about this, is that when you go to take the state test, if you come in with a fancy calculator, like a Texas Instruments or an HP or something like that, they will confiscate it from you and you won't be allowed to use it. And the reason you won't be allowed to use it is that those fancy calculators can store equations and they can store numbers. Like if you always forget like how many square feet in an acre or something like that, it can store that information. And Department of State wants to be sure that you know that information. They don't want it stored in your calculator. So you have to memorize the equations and to know the conversion factors, like from acres to square feet.
Okay.
I should tell you what happened to me. I had to take the test in 2018. And the reason I took the test was I was getting my license in another state. And the other state told me that if I took the New York State test, I could substitute the New York State test for the test in the other state. So I'm like,
Oh, wow.
great, I'll get on a subway and go downtown instead of flying out west to take this test. So I did. Now, what was weird about it is that I'm always over prepared for everything. So I came into the test, I had 3 calculators on me. And I got there and there was a lady who they confiscated her calculator because she
Oh,
used
no.
a calculator and she had to do the test with no calculator. So, I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
like I teach this stuff, right? So you can imagine I did the whoopee whoopee boo, I did the test in like 10 minutes, right? So I got up to leave and the lady goes, "Do you want your calculator back?" I'm like, no, it cost me $1, right? No. And she goes, "No, really, do you want your calculator back?" And the proctor goes, "I'm kicking you out because you're talking in the class."
Oh, wow.
They were going to kick me out. I didn't
Wow.
even say anything. I just went like this. Like this. No, I don't want it back. So you have to be very careful because they will confiscate your calculator. And you also have to be like me, like in case your battery dies or something, you have to bring an extra calculator. But don't give it to anybody. Don't be a nice guy. But fortunately, Department of State did not kick me out. Otherwise, I would have had to come back and take the test again. They would have marked me as failed. All right. What would people like to, would you like to just go through questions in general that we need to know, or would you like to concentrate on anything in particular?
Hello. So I have a few questions that I actually need to hop off so that
Wonderful.
I can finish
how
up
are you,
my
Christina?
my course here. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, great.
Good, good. And I'm walking around in the park, if you don't mind. So I'm gonna
Oh,
keep
yeah,
my camera off.
I do that too. I do that too.
Okay, let's see. So I'm just gonna bounce around to my screenshots here because that's normally what I do when I have a question. Okay, so what did I have a question on? I think it was the self-directed IRA.
Okay. I'm happy to answer it, but it's not on the test.
Okay, I'll go to my next slide.
Okay.
Taxpayer Relief Act.
That's on the test.
Ugh. I'm trying to figure out what my question was specifically. To sell your properties and capital gains. Oh, you know what? No. Somewhere deeper in the chapter, I think my question was answered. And my question was, if the property was over 500,000, do you just get nothing? But obviously, I think it's the percentage. You
I am
divide the percentage
so
of the home.
glad, I am so glad you asked that question. Okay, I'm going to give you a sample question because this does come up on the test. So I'm going to give everybody a sample question. Now,
Okay, let's do
the
it.
first thing we know, this is background, okay, that we know that the Taxpayer Relief Act, I believe it was of 1996. I don't remember what year it was. Okay, so don't quote me on that.
I
Taxpayer,
believe
it
that's
was during
correct.
the Clinton administration. I know that, but I forget exactly. I think it was 96, but anyway, Taxpayer Relief Act, it was during the Clinton administration. And the Taxpayer Relief Act introduced section 121. Homeowners love section 121 because it gives them a huge tax break when they sell their home. Okay, so the idea behind it is, see, what happens is you get a lot of times where you get a person or you get a married couple who buy a home, and like maybe they bought a home in like 1975 or something. Okay, and when they bought the home, it was worth $50,000. And now they're like older people and they want to retire to Florida or something like that. And they want to sell their house. And now they sell their house for $1 million. They are going to get killed on capital gains tax. So the purpose of section 121, the purpose of section 121 is to reduce tax on capital gains, and capital gains is profit when people sell their home. The rule is that if a couple is married and they sell home and they sell their home, if profit is less than 500,000, guess what? No capital gains.
All right, no tax.
Gotta love
That
it.
happened to me. That happened to me. And I was worried about that, but right, I did not have to, but I didn't have no tax on the capital gains. It was my mother's house and she passed it and passed it on to me. And then when I sold it, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get this huge tax bill. And
Mhm.
then my sister-in-law, no, my daughter-in-law, who was a real estate agent a few years ago, actually, she was like, no, if you didn't get so much money, you don't have to pay taxes. I was like, thank you.
Isn't that great?
I was happy, yes, and yeah, I was happy with that.
Yeah.
So that part, I think I remember.
Uh-huh. Now, if it is a single person, then it's 250,000.
Right.
Okay, what if it's two single people who are co-owners? 250 plus 250 equals
250 is 500.
Yeah.
Right, it's a 500.
Okay, so here's a question that you are likely to see on the test. Sam and Pam are married. They bought their home for 50,000.
50,000.
Yep. Now, years later, they sold it for 650,000. What is their taxable capital gains? Okay, well, this is pretty easy because the original purchase price is called basis. Okay, so the sale price, which is 650,000, minus the 50,000 basis, equals 500,000. No, I'm sorry, equals 600,000 capital gains. Then we say 650,000 minus the 500,000 marital capital gains exemption equals 100,000
100,000. They pay tax.
taxable taxable capital gains. Okay, so their profit was 600,000, right? But they get a $500,000 exemption. So 100,000 of their profit is taxable. Now, this is the part of the class where everybody says to me, oh, okay, well, if 100,000 is taxable, how much tax do they pay on it? Because they're not paying $100,000 tax. They're paying tax on their $100,000 profit. Okay. And the answer is, I can't tell you. Because
Right. We don't know.
nobody told us in the question what Sam and Pam's tax bracket is.
I have another question on that. So what if the $100,000 puts you in a whole other tax bracket, which is,
No, your tax bracket is figured out by your earnings and stuff like that.
so
there's
whatever that
the
is,
tax brackets, yeah, the tax bracket for your earnings is different than the tax bracket for capital gains.
okay.
And the tax bracket for capital gains is usually either 15% or 20% for most people. But that's not on the test. Okay, so we don't know what Sam and Pam's tax will be because we don't know their tax bracket. Okay, what else? Anybody else got any questions or any topics they'd like to talk about? Because if you don't, I do.
I have another question.
Sure, gladly.
So there's one section in the income tax benefits of home. So if you could just elaborate a little bit on what points, okay, it says it says over the life of your loan or in the year paid them, if points were substituted for other closing costs like appraisal or title search. What would that look like? What would that scenario look like?
Okay,
Your points.
I walk into the bank. Hi, Chase. I would like to get a mortgage. And they go, okay, Kristen, that's going to be 6%. I go, 6%? I can get a better interest rate than that. They go, look, if you pay us points, we'll lower your interest rate. Now, if I pay them points that are basically interest, okay, if I pay them points in interest, and a point we know is 1% of the loan amount. All right. So if I pay them points which are applied to interest,
Mhm.
I pay a point, 1% of the loan amount, and it's applied to interest, it's tax deductible. But what if I don't
Okay.
apply it to interest? What if I say, well, Chase, I am willing to pay points, but I want you to use the points that I pay for stuff like the appraisal and the survey and the credit report.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, now that doesn't happen very often. It
Okay.
really doesn't happen very often, but it could happen. And if I do
Okay.
that, then my points are not going to be tax deductible. My points are only tax deductible if I use them to pay for something that's deductible. And
Right, for the interest.
interest is deductible, but appraisal and survey and credit report are not deductible.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. You know, one of my students today said to me, you know, Kristen, you're really good at dumbing things down. And I go, I'm not sure if that's a compliment. But be that as it may, yeah, I'm a good dumber downer. All right, what else have we got?
Okay. Mm. I have such a headache today, so
Oh,
I can't even think. I said, but let me just get on.
nice of you to be here with us then. A
Yeah.
lot of people would cop out.
Mm. Yeah. So I can't even think. I'm not even gonna try, but I'm just here. I was my pressure was up and I was in the hospital yesterday. So I'm like, I still need to get on today.
All right, well, take it easy and don't
So,
worry because at the end of the class, I'm going to send you the transcript.
mhm,
So that
okay.
you can read all these questions when you're feeling a little bit better.
All right, thank you.
All right, then
I
I'm,
would I would
yeah.
appreciate that because I'm pretty new here, so I would
Oh,
definitely
are you?
appreciate that. It's my first
Uh,
time.
Oh, really? Okay, let me tell you what it is that I do. I type the notes and the question solutions into the chat. And at the end of the chat, you have a choice. You can either save the chat yourself, all right, which means that you can take a screenshot, you can copy paste it into a document, or you can use the save mechanism on Zoom. However you want to save it, you can save it. If for some reason you don't want to save it or don't know how to save it, then what you have to do is at the end of the class, not now, but at the end of the class, give me your email address and I'll email everybody the chat transcript.
Absolutely. That would be great. That would be
Yeah,
great.
because I figure what there's like, I don't know, almost 10 of us here. And it's crazy for 10 people to take all the same notes, right? That's kind of dopey. Why not have one person, me, take the notes and then we'll just share them.
That's good. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Because it's pretty interesting right now for me.
Okay, good. All right. Well, Gareth, have you finished the course yet?
No, I actually just started. I've not started doing it yet. So I'm just listening in because a lot of stuff that you're talking about, I have a little knowledge of it, but not from this angle. So, you know, it's pretty interesting and I'm pretty much learning another angle of things. That's why.
Okay. Well, the difference between the course that everybody has taken or is taking and what we're doing now is that what we're doing now is exam prep. What you do in the course is I'm required to cover what Department of State tells me to cover because they have an outline and I have to cover everything in the outline, whether it's on the test or not. So now we're going to cover the stuff that the school and the state and everybody consider important enough to test you on. That's our objective now. So let's see if we can do some more questions. I want to cram as many questions into this class as I can. All right, I got one for you. This one, questions like this one that I'm about to give you, you are always going to see on the test. Let me show you what I got here. Now, what they're asking us about here is there are some people who are allowed legally to do real estate services without having a New York State real estate license. And they're going to ask you on the test, who needs a license, who doesn't need a license, and stuff like that. So I want to be sure that everybody knows the rules for that. So who is exempt from the real estate licensing requirement? So here are your choices. I'm giving you A, B, C, etc. choices. Okay, who is exempt from the real estate licensing requirement? In other words, who can do real estate services and they don't need a license?
A lawyer.
A tenant relocator, an attorney who does not sponsor salespersons. Yep, Sherelle's got it going on. Okay, Sherelle called it out first. The attorney B is indeed the answer. A property manager for several different owners, a mortgage broker for mortgages other than residential. So yes, indeed, the answer is the attorney. Now,
And that, Kristen, that's any attorney, right? It doesn't have to be a real estate attorney, any attorney, family law, divorce court.
correctamundo, but they got to be a New York attorney, like they can't be from Wyoming.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay, and the reason why, I'll tell you why. I got my broker license by doing, what is it? I think it's 152 hours of class. All right. My sister's a lawyer. She studied more than 152 hours of real estate. So lawyers get more real estate education than brokers do. Now, if an attorney wants to open up a brokerage and hire salespersons, then they have to get a license. And the reason they have to get a license is because Department of State needs to keep track of where everybody is working. And so, like, if they need to associate the salesperson numbers with a broker number for the attorney. Okay, now I want to be sure that everybody gets who needs a license and who doesn't, because there's usually about 3 or 4 questions about this on the test. Now, before I give you the list of who does and doesn't, I want to point to answer choice D in this question. And choice D was a mortgage broker for mortgages other than residential. Huh? Okay, well, mortgages other than residential are commercial mortgages, aren't they? Right? So why did they say it that way? I don't know why they say it that way. They just do. All right. Well, I mean, they're quoting the law. So they say it that way because they're quoting the law. But why the law says it that way, I don't really know. Okay, because there's commercial mortgages and there's residential mortgages. And so when they say mortgages other than residential, they mean commercial. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but we, salespersons and brokers, legally are allowed to arrange commercial mortgages. So let me type that for you because that's really important. I'm gonna type it into the we, salespersons and brokers, are legally allowed to arrange commercial mortgages, but not residential. Okay, now I go into my dry cleaner and I drop off some clothes. Okay, can my dry cleaner arrange a residential mortgage for me? It's not a trick question.
Not at all. Not at all.
Of course not. He doesn't have any kind Doesn't have any kind of real estate license. Okay. So can he do a residential mortgage for me? No. Can he do a commercial mortgage for me?
A commercial, yeah, right? You just said that?
He's a dry cleaner.
No.
Thank you. No. Okay. So I mean, maybe I threw everybody off because I was telling such a silly joke. The point I'm making is that if you have no license at all, you cannot arrange any mortgages of any kind for anybody. So I just gave the example of my dry cleaner. He doesn't have a real estate license. He doesn't have a mortgage license. He can't do any kind of mortgage. Now, what if I go to a real estate salesperson? Can a real estate salesperson arrange a residential mortgage for me? Well, a real estate licensee is what they call a salesperson or a broker, because they get kind of tired saying salesperson and broker all the time, right? So a real estate licensee is just a person who has a real estate license. A real estate licensee legally can arrange a commercial mortgage for somebody. Now, I go to a mortgage broker. I say to the mortgage broker, can you do a residential mortgage for me? Can they do it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sure. I go to a person who is a licensed mortgage professional. I go, can you arrange a mortgage for me? Can they do it?
Can they arrange who is a licensed
mortgage professional?
Can they arrange a mortgage for a salesperson or just a person?
Anybody. I'm just a person, okay? And I walk up to the mortgage broker. Can you arrange a mortgage for me?
No, I think mortgage brokers get the people and the bank together. Is that what it is?
Okay, I'll answer that in 1 second. The answer is a licensed mortgage professional can do all kinds of mortgages for other people.
Okay.
That's on the test. Okay, because you notice that choice D was who doesn't need a license. Well, you do need a license. If you're going to do commercial mortgages, you got to have at least a real estate license. And if you don't have a real estate license, you got to have a mortgage license. But my dry cleaner doesn't have any kind of license, so he can't do mortgages for people. So that's why choice D is not the correct choice on the test. That's what I'm getting at. So going back to this question, who is exempt from the real estate licensing requirement? In other words, who doesn't need a real estate license? Tenant relocator, well, they need a real estate license. A tenant relocator is just helping people in other cities find homes in New York. An attorney who does not sponsor salespersons, they are exempt. They don't need a license. C, a property manager for several different owners. If a property manager works for one owner, they don't need a license, but if they work for several owners, they do need a license. And then the mortgage broker for commercial mortgages, well, they need a license. They need a real estate license. They're not exempt. My dry cleaner doesn't have a real estate license. He can't do mortgages for people. So you need a license. All right, so let me answer Maureen's question. Maureen was asking about different types of mortgage professionals. So the entry level mortgage professional is a mortgage loan officer, also called mortgage loan originator, abbreviated MLO. And they work under the supervision. They're like a salesperson. A salesperson works under the supervision of a broker, and MLO works under the supervision of a broker or a banker. Now, the advanced levels of mortgage professional are mortgage broker and mortgage banker. A mortgage banker lends money from one bank, which is basically the bank he works for. A mortgage broker compares loans from many different banks. So, as Maureen was saying, a mortgage broker brings together buyers and banks for them to get a mortgage. I'm sorry, let me kill my phone here. I do not know anybody in Memphis, Tennessee, so I think it was a robocall. All right. Now, what we're going to talk about, we are going to talk about who does and does not need a real estate license in order to do real estate services. Okay, so I'm reading from your textbook right now. Those of you who have the textbook, I'm on page 17. All right, I'm copying out of the textbook. And so people who are exempt from real estate license. Number one is attorneys. They do not need a real estate. When I say RE, I mean real estate, right? They do not need a real estate license unless they hire salespersons. All right. So I gave you the example earlier. I said that my sister's a lawyer. So my father wanted to sell his house and he got my sister to sell his house for him. Can he pay my sister a commission? My sister does not have a real estate license. She is a New York state attorney.
No, can't pay her.
Why not? Why can't he pay her? She's doing real estate for him. Can he pay her to do real estate services for him?
She has to be a
Yeah.
licensed real estate person.
No.
You said she was?
Well,
Attorneys
she's an
are
attorney.
automatically brokers. Attorneys are automatically brokers in New York State. And
Okay, so maybe I can hear.
only time an attorney has to get a broker paper license and send $185 to Albany is if they decide to open a real estate brokerage and hire salespersons. So to clarify, my sister doesn't have a real estate brokerage. She doesn't hire salespersons, but
Right.
she was doing a service for my dad, and she sold my dad's house for him. And I think it's fair for my dad to pay her for her work, right? So she doesn't need a real estate license because she's automatically a broker just by passing the bar.
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't hear where you said she was a lawyer.
I
Yes,
understand.
it is.
Oh, you didn't hear that part. That was it. Yeah,
Right,
that's
I didn't hear that
part.
part because I knew that. I knew she was a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key
Yeah.
part. Okay,
Mhm.
now the second people who are exempt from having a real estate license is building workers. Like supers, property managers,
Mm.
etc. Okay, and the reason why is that if they work for only one building owner and their job is to help sell or rent units and collect rent, they do not need a real estate license. If a manager or other building worker sells or rents units or collects rent for more than one owner, then they definitely need a real estate license. Okay. Third, well, this one's easy. Third is anyone appointed by a court to handle real estate matters. If a court says, I'm appointing you to sell this house, then they don't need a real estate license.
Wow.
And this happens all the time. You know why it happens all the time? It happens all the time with wills or estates or something like that. This happens frequently with wills because the court can appoint an executor or administrator to handle the sale of real estate. And that person doesn't need a license. Now, in my will, I appointed a friend to sell my real estate if I die, right? So if I die, the judge is probably going to appoint him to be the executor. But that guy doesn't have a real estate license. He doesn't have a real estate license. He doesn't need one. But if I die, he's going to handle the sale of the real estate that I own. Okay, number 4. People selling or renting their own real estate. People selling or renting their own real estate do not need a real estate license. That makes sense, right? I had a guy in my class who was, I don't know, he was like 55 years old or something, and he was a landlord. And this guy had bought and sold dozens of buildings, and he had rented thousands of apartments in his lifelong career, but he never got a real estate license. He didn't need one because the client was always himself. So you don't need a real estate license if you're going to do real estate services for yourself. And then the fifth one is government officers who handle real estate do not need a real estate license. A good example is city marshal who does evictions. Number 6, and the last one, is tenant associations like co-op boards or condo associations do tenant association members of do not need a real estate license. Okay, so those are the 6 that you must know because they're on the test. And then a bonus fact is salespersons and brokers are allowed to arrange commercial mortgages for people, but not residential mortgages. Now, why commercial and not residential? I'll tell you why. Consumer protection. Because ordinary consumers buy homes. Wheeler dealers who are professionals in commercial real estate, they do commercial mortgages. So in our state and in the federal government, we have lots and lots of laws to protect ordinary people, but we don't have that many laws to protect professionals in the industry. So people who their main business is real estate don't need the level of protection and handholding that ordinary individuals do. Because people who work in commercial, I mean, they might buy and sell hundreds of properties throughout their career and lease thousands of properties throughout their career. But the average person lives in, I believe they live in 11 different homes in their lifetime. And typically, if they purchase somewhere between 2 and 2.5 homes. So that is not a lot of transactions. So most ordinary people don't know that much about contracts and procedures and things like that. So that's why there's so much mortgages. That's why there's so much consumer protection. All right, let me give you another question. And it's clearly gonna be based on this. Who is required? Oh, I forgot the who is. Sorry. Who is required to hold a real estate broker or salesperson's license? Attorneys, persons negotiating mortgage loans, court-appointed receivers in foreclosure auctions, or property managers who only work for one client? What's the answer? Who needs a license here? Thank you. Jennifer's got it going on. The answer is B. A person who has no license at all cannot negotiate mortgages for people. That's the answer. Now, on the test, they may mention people like real estate auctioneers or tenant relocators. Those are just salespersons who happen to specialize in auctions or relocating people from other cities. they need a license like all other salespersons. Okay, let's try something else. By the way, this class, I think they told you that this class goes until 7, but I always find that an hour isn't enough. So I usually go a little overtime. I hope you don't mind. I hope people can stay with me as long as you can. All right. Now, there are a lot of questions on your test about independent contractors. And, oh, thank you, about independent contractors. And the reason why is because when you get your salesperson license, you're either going to work as an employee or as an independent contractor. And that's very important that you know what your job classification is. And so when I say they, I mean Department of State. Department of State makes us, schools, give you lots of questions about independent contractors so that they can be sure you understand how your work is going to be structured. So here is a typical type of question that you might see. A person, I'm going to say a worker cannot legally be classified as an independent contractor if boom. All right. A worker cannot be legally classified as an independent contractor if the agent's work hours are set by the broker, the agent is a licensed real estate salesperson, the income of the agent is based solely on sales output, or the agent has an executed written contract with a broker. Thank you. Maureen is quick draw here. She's absolutely right. Now, I'm going to show you why she's absolutely right, because I think that I think most people are visual learners, and that's why I designed the class to be that way. And I would like to show you a table that should help you with this. So let me get it. There we go. Now, let me see if I can share the screen with you. Okay, we're doing a screen share. Now, I'm going to find the slide that I'm looking for. Okay, this is the one that I'm looking for. Okay, if you have a camera or you're working on a laptop, I would encourage you to take a screenshot of this table, because this is the table that tells you the difference between an employee and an independent contractor. And they ask you questions about this on both the school test and the state test. Now, in this case, remember they said that the person could not be an independent contractor if the broker sets their work hours? That's true, because as you can see on the left-hand side, the independent contractor is not paid for their time. I'm looking at item 1 in the left-hand column under independent contractor. The independent contractor is not paid for their time. They're paid for what they produce. So in real estate, independent contractors are paid for how many apartments they rent or how many buildings they sell. They're not paid for how many hours they spend in the office. But the employee, on the other hand, is paid for their time. So in the right-hand column under item 1, the employee is paid for their time, and the boss can tell them when to work. Now, if you look at item 8, the main difference between an independent contractor and an employee is that in item 8 on the left-hand column under independent contractor, the boss tells the client what to do. And in your case, what to do is going to be sell and rent real estate. But under the employee, the boss can tell the employee what to do, when to do it, where to do it, why to do it, how to do it, and who to do it to. So the boss has tremendous control over what the employee does. The boss has almost no control over what the independent contractor does. Now, let me just tell you, if people are unable to get a screenshot of this, I'll try to include it with the transcript when I send you the transcript later. All right. Can I get rid of this? Has everybody got it? Okay. Now, going back to, I'm going to stop the share. Going back to this, I have another question that is on the test, and I think you're going to like this question. All right. The question is, why would a real estate salesperson fill out Schedule C on their income tax? I'm not going to give you choices. Does anybody know offhand? If you don't know, I'll tell you, don't worry.
Is it itemizing?
Thank you. Absolutely right. The answer is oh, thank you. I don't know how the heck you did that, Katrina. I can never figure out how to get images into the chat. When I try to post images in the chat, it won't accept them for some reason. All right. The answer is Schedule C is used to itemize business expenses to get a tax deduction. So that's why I say you're going to love this, because you know what is great about working in real estate as an independent contractor is, like, maybe you had a job previously as, I don't know, like when I was in college, I had a job as a waitress. Okay. And when I had a job as a waitress, I was paid a salary plus tips, but I was an employee. All right. But then when I became a real estate broker, I was an independent contractor. That means that all my business expenses are deductible. So like my telephone is tax deductible, my cab rides and transportation are tax deductible, my computer is tax deductible, like all the equipment and expenses that I have for doing my job become business expenses and they become tax. So the thing that you are going to love when you become an independent contractor is you got to save your receipts, because you get to deduct all this stuff at the end of the year. All right, let me see what other questions.
Let me ask a question,
Gladly.
Kristen. Even if you're working from home, like if you have like a room or a little corner, you can deduct part of that as well.
Yes.
as like office space, right?
Yes, I do that.
Okay.
I do that because you're in my office right now.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, so I do that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I actually go into that in the income tax chapter. I tell you which tax form to use for it and like how to calculate it and everything like.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the way that I did it is
Mm-hmm.
that I figured out the square footage of my apartment and I figured out
Right.
that my home office is 25% of my apartment. So when
Okay.
I give my bills to my CPA, like when I give him my rent and I give him my electric bill and stuff like that, gas
Mm-hmm.
bill, whatever. When I give him my bills, he knows that 25% of that is deductible as a home office.
Okay, I gotta remember that. I definitely gotta remember that.
So
That's
Kristen,
the easiest way to
I
do it.
have
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it also like your utilities, like your water, all of your bills?
Well, it depends. If you're talking about home office,
Right, right, home office.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a CPA. I am not a CPA at all. But if my home office is 1/4 of my home, then the overhead for my home, which would be things like well, we don't really pay that much water bill, but like electric bills and maintenance, like if I hire a cleaning lady or something, she cleans 1/4 of my house, which is my
Wow.
stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Never thought of it.
one quarter of my regular home expenses are going to be um are going to be for my home office, which is deductible. So you can
Okay.
definitely deduct your home office and your uh expenses for that office. And it is covered in I believe it's chapter 17, which is income tax. Now, I want to caution you, I'm not a CPA. You're going to have to discuss this with your CPA, but it's going to affect you when you sell your home. Because remember section 121? Section 121 is for your home. It's not for a business. So that would mean that the section 121 is applicable to 3/4 of your home, and the other quarter of your home is your business. So it gets a little complicated, but your CPA can figure it all out. Okay, so like I'm the worst person in the world to go to for tax advice. You want a real CPA, but I'm just giving you a heads up what it is you'll be considering. Now, I don't know that much about how the course is constructed, but do you have the ability to go back and look at chapter 17 if you want to? Okay.
Yes, you do.
Oh,
You
okay,
do.
good. Good, good, good. I've never
And
taken
actually,
the course, like that would be sort of a waste of time. All right. I'm going to come up with some more good questions before we have to end. Let's do another independent contractor one while we're on the subject. Which can a broker pay for independent contractor which can a broker pay for independent contractor salespersons who are working for them? State tax, federal tax, office phone, or medical insurance? And if you want to look at the little screenshot that you took earlier, that's going to have the answer on it. I should have put the ABCD thing in there, but you can kind of tell. Okay. The, let's go back. Let's look at the answer on this thing. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen again. Okay, now on the left, number 3 and 4. Okay, so number 3 under the independent contractor is they pay their own tax. There's no withholding, no employer matching, nothing like that. Number 4, they pay their own benefits. If we look under the employee column, the employer withholds income tax from the employee's paycheck and sends it to the IRS. And then the employer also has to pay payroll taxes for the employee. Number 4 under employee is the employer has to pay benefits like Social Security, employment, workers' compensation, health insurance, all that stuff. But the independent contractor pays their own tax and they pay their own benefits. So now let's go back and look at this question again. Now that we've reviewed this table, and the question, where'd it go? I'm going to stop the share. Okay, which can a broker pay for independent contractor salespersons who are working for them? State tax, federal tax, office phone, or medical insurance?
Office phone.
Absolutely right. The answer is yes. So Katrina and Diana both have it right. The answer is the office phone. Why? Because brokers are required in our state to have a physical office. And in the physical office, when the salespersons come in, the broker's going to pay the electric bill, and they're going to pay, probably they have a landline there, which they're going to pay. They might have a computer database there that they pay for. They might have a copy machine. They might have, staples and paper clips and paper and stuff like that, pens, so it's okay for the broker to pay for certain office supplies. So it is okay for broker to pay for certain office supplies for the independent contractor, but they can't pay tax or benefits like health insurance for them. Okay, let's see how many more we can fit in. I want to fit in as much info as I can. All right, here's a good one. A seller signs an exclusive right to sell contract, listing contract with a broker. Seller finds a buyer himself with no help from the broker. What is broker entitled to? And your choices are no commission, a seller signs an exclusive right to sell listing contract with a broker. Seller finds a buyer himself with no help from the broker. What is broker entitled to? No commission, half commission, renegotiate commission, or full commission? What's the answer? While I'm waiting for somebody to put me out of my misery and answer me, I'm going to I'm going to find the, I'm going to find the thing that tells us. I'm going to find the PowerPoint slide that tells us. Okay. I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to answer the question and then I'm going to screen share the answer. So the answer is full commission, and it looks like several people had it right. Now, let me screen share with you. And there it is. And once again, this is a pretty useful little table that we got here, because what it's showing us is that you could have an open listing in which the seller is working with many, many brokerages. And if the broker sells an open listing, the broker gets a commission. But if I'm the seller, okay, pretend I'm the seller in this story. If I sell the place without any help from the brokers get nothing. Now, what if I sign an exclusive listing contract? An exclusive listing contract means that I'm only working with one brokerage. So if other brokerages are interested in selling the place, they have to contact the one broker that I've hired. Now, there are two kinds of exclusive agency. I'm sorry, there are two kinds of exclusive. Two kinds of exclusive. The first type of exclusive contract is exclusive agency. And under exclusive agency, if the broker sells, the broker gets a commission. If I sell the place myself with no help from the broker gets nothing. Under exclusive right to sell, if the broker sells the place, they get a commission. If I sell the place myself with no help from the broker still gets a commission. Why? Why should I pay the broker if I sell the place without their help? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because if anyone wants to take a screenshot of this, they probably should. I'll come back to it. If you want to take a screenshot, you're welcome to. Now, if I sell the place myself under exclusive right to sell, why am I obligated to pay a commission to the broker? The answer is this. If I give you the listing, if I sign a contract with your broker for exclusive right to sell, you're going to advertise the place, right? Yeah. You're going to take photos? Yeah. You're going to hold open houses? Yeah. Well, you're publicizing my place. And people are sneaky. Like, if you're going to hold an open house, you have to say the address of the open house. So what they do is they go to the building before the open house and they say to the doorman, oh, I heard that apartment 12G is for sale. Would you find out if the seller, Kristen, will meet with us? And the door staff calls upstairs and I go, yeah, send them up. They buy the place on the spot. The reason why they buy it on the spot, the reason they're sneaky like this, is they want to cut you out of a commission. But the only reason that they know where my property is and the fact that it's on the market is because of the advertising you paid for. So you're going to say to me, Kristen, I can't afford to market your property and advertising and hold open houses and take photos and everything. I can't afford to work on your property if people are going to go behind my back and cut me out. That's not fair. So in a way, you really did find the buyer, because all I did was sit home and wait for your advertising to cause people to be interested and to approach me. I didn't do anything. I just sat around. You did all the work. And so you should be paid for the work. All right. So I'm going to see if I can put these two slides and also the independent contractor slide into the transcript. So what I want to ask you now is, I think we kind of have to end because we went half an hour overtime, but there's a couple of things I want to ask you. The first is that the school would really love it if you like the school, if you like RELNY, which I really love RELNY. I think they're the best school that I've ever taught for. But if you really like RELNY, they are asking if you would be willing to go to the school's Facebook page and say something nice about us, because that would really help us. It'll make it possible for me to write more courses and stuff. And I hope everybody's going to pass, and I hope that you're going to tell me that you passed. And then I also hope that you'll stay with me, you know, because I have students who come back for their continuing education and stuff like that over the years. Now, the other thing I want to ask you is if you have been unable to get screenshots or to copy the chat, and you would like me to email you a transcript of this class, would you please type your email address into the chat? And if you can't type your email address into the chat, tell me what it is and I'll type it in for you. Oh, stuck with RELNY and me forever. Okay. That's good. Thank you. All right. Very good. Everybody wants it. Okay, that's good. Now, I got to tell you something. I have to be very careful because I sometimes get pirate students, like students hear about us from their friends or they hear about us online, and they email me like a week later and go, can you please send me the transcripts? And I'm like, wait a second, you weren't in the class, you didn't pay for this class.
Right.
You know? So, like, that's not fair to you guys. You guys paid for the class and you attended the class and worked hard and everything. So it's not fair for people to just write me out of the blue and ask to get free stuff. That's not fair. So I'm telling you now that, like, if somebody writes me tomorrow or the next day or something like that and says, can I have a chat transcript, I will not send it to them. I'm only sending it to the people who are here now. Well, okay, Randy left, but I don't think anybody else left. So like, you know, he will be included, but all the people that are here now can have a copy of the transcript. Okay. And I'm going to give you my email address so that if you have you know, anything, like if you miss anything or you have something you want to say, you can reach me. Okay. Now, once again, I can only answer two kinds of questions. I can answer a question about, Kristen, why didn't you send me a transcript? I was in the class. Okay, that's the other question I can answer is anything academic. Like if you say, what does this law mean? Or I don't understand this concept, but I cannot answer administrative questions. Like, I don't know where the tests are held. I don't know how to sign up for the tests. I don't know how long you have to finish the course and stuff like that. I don't know how to sign on to the RELNY website. I've never even done it. Like, I don't know any of that kind of administrative stuff. You got to ask the administrators for that. So if you have an administrative question, you should contact at info@nyrei.com. Oops, I'm sorry, RELNY. I spelled RELNY wrong. RELNY.com. There we go. And you are required to say hello to my dog, Boney. There she is. You can see I have an older dog.
Bonnie.
Yeah, you can see Boney Maroney is an older dog. She's 12 now. All right. Everybody good? Anybody have any questions for me?
You know, Kristen,
No.
I did just want to mention one thing. I just wanted to say that I cannot wait to attempt to use the Roth IRA benefit when you pull out $10,000 with no penalty.
I
I
didn't
just
even
want to
know
say thank
about
you.
that. The first time I
Thank
ever
you.
bought, yeah, the first time I ever bought a home, I didn't even know about that. I could have used it.
That's awesome.
Do
And
you
that's for
know what you're talking
first-time
about?
home buyers, right?
First time home buyers are allowed to use, if they have like an individual retirement account, they're allowed to use money from their IRA to buy the house, and they don't have any tax penalty associated with it.
Took a screenshot of that, like
Yeah,
golden information. Thank you so much. My
yeah.
mouth was wide open. Like, where have I been? Where have I been? Thank you
I
so
wish
much.
I'd
I just want
known.
to say thank you for that jewel, that gem. Thank
Yeah,
you.
good. All right. Okay, thank you, Jennifer. All right, I'm going to leave the Zoom on for a couple of more minutes, and that'll give you time if you want to copy the chat yourself. All right, but I'm just going to do the administrative work of sending this information to everyone. All right, so I hope to see some of you next week. All right, I'm going to leave the chat on, but I'm going to remove my camera and my microphone, and that way you won't hear me talking to my dog. Okay, so bye,
Thank
everybody.
you, Kristen. See you next week for sure.
Thank you. I hope so.
Have
All
a
right,
great
Okay,
day.
good night,
Thank you so
everyone.
much. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
all right.
So you'll never guess who I saw. Tristan and her mother and brother. Did your chest hurt now, Olivia? Yeah. I think maybe you should do some breathing exercises. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. So, yeah. Oh, we're gonna talk to Dr. Hager. We're gonna think of him Sunday or coming Saturday. I'm just thinking about that. You know. I'm not sure. You may. You may. The COVID shots. Yeah, don't they? Okay. I swear, my second COVID shot ever, COVID was still in the bank first. I didn't feel it at all. Look at this. Look at this person. And that's somebody's mother. I know her. What's her name? Caleb. That's Caleb's mother. Yeah. Caleb's mom running right through the stop sign. I bet she does that like all the time. Let's see if she does on this one. Yep. Right through it. Let's see if she does that. She stopped. Like somebody there. No, she didn't stop. Yes, she did. And you see her brake lights. Let's see if she stopped at this one. Let's try to catch her. And just shoot her. One. And she stopped. They don't stop. Thing. Go to work. Work. Did you say yes? No. I heard you say yes. I heard you say yes. I didn't say yes. But what is this person?
What show do you want to start watching?
Actually, I need to finish my real estate class before it expires, so that to keep it going.
It was free.
No, but if I need to extend it, I have to pay.
How much?
I think it's like $60.
Wait, so how much is that?
Can you get out? so I
Class.
can- it was like $30. Oh my goodness, what happened here? This car is falling me apart. This was like this, but it should be stuck up there. Go ahead, close the door. Meadow Unity. With Daddy Pepper Bear. Does. This area is just a hot mess. It needs to just be.
No, it's my question. Those
Well, we're actually going to redo this whole thing, but so many other things are taking priority. Where are these dogs at? Did your father take the dogs with him?
No.
He didn't? Did you see them? Shoot. You still not back? Oh, okay.
Last practice with that crowd. You see?
How does the plastic chain break? What are you doing? Crazy. That's crazy. What do you want? Is they being crazy? Tell me to go. Is Ava being crazy or is it you? You need water? Here. Both of them being crazy.